Hey guys, Meteorologist Chris Tomer here with this afternoon mountain weather update. All right, here's what I'm seeing this afternoon. So we've got a storm system exiting Colorado, and it's actually going to become a strong storm for the northeast with potentially heavy snow accumulation, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine, late 3/9 into 3/10, trickling into early 3/11. So what's next for the west? Here's the timing. Once the pattern buckles back down to the south, that snow returns. So light snow in Colorado, late 3/12, and then heavy snow 3/13, 3/14. Wasatch, heavy snow 3/12, 3/13. Tetons, you've got light snow on 3/11, and then moderate snow accumulation 3/12, 3/13. Revelstoke is going to benefit from this pattern. So is Red Mountain. Those two places could get a foot with moderate to heavy snow accumulation late 3/9 through 3/12. So pretty good setup up there. And again, in the northeast, you've got heavy snow coming late 3/9 into 3/10. All right, here's water vapor satellite imagery this afternoon. So on this, your moisture aloft is whites and blues. And so here's the next big storm system. There's another one behind it. Both of these are riding the northern branch and being escorted up into the Pacific Northwest in BC. So that's the pattern shift. Everything's going to be up in the Pacific Northwest in BC for at least a few days between 3/9 and 3/11. And then the whole thing's going to shift back down to the south into Utah, Wyoming, Colorado, and New Mexico for that matter by the time we get into 3/12, 3/13, and 3/14, maybe even 3/15. So northern New Mexico is also in the mix. Here's the forecast jet pattern. So by end of day today, here's tomorrow. Everything's shifting back up. You can see where the northern branch is definitely pulling all the energy into the Pacific Northwest and BC. That's 3/10. Here's 3/11. Everything starts to shift. 3/12, we start to see the jet buckle to the south. Energy dives into Utah, Wyoming, Colorado, and New Mexico. Look how deep the trough is. That's going to benefit New Mexico. And this is interesting. This is 3/16, still showing a little bit of a trough over parts of Colorado, so I'm wondering if there's an additional piece of energy that's going to try to slide in. And then 3/17, everything exits, and we get a little bit of a high-pressure ridge over the west coast. Putting precip on top of all of this, so leftover snow tonight in Colorado's mountains, pretty light. Everything dives away to the south, and it's much drier on Saturday. Focus here is Pacific Northwest and BC for a few days. By the time we get into 3/12, here comes the main storm system diving down, Utah, Wyoming, Colorado, and then we start to see it spin up a little bit in Colorado. So there's some strengthening happening right here. Notice Denver goes from rain, snow, over to all snow by the time we get into the morning of 3/14. So the storm is strengthening, it's turning colder, it's pulling in some colder air. Here's 3/14 by the end of the day. Pretty good snow across a lot of Colorado and northern New Mexico. And then it's still there by Friday morning sitting over Denver, and then it exits. Another little fast piece of energy, that's what I suspected, might be diving south. We'll see if that may not, things like that tend to go away in updates. So we'll see if that's even there in the next update, but that's interesting. Okay, let's look at the latest numbers I've got here. So latest grand total map. By the end of 3/17, end of day, about a foot up there in the Wasatch, 4 to 8 in the Tetons. That number has drifted down just a little bit, but the biggest change is to Colorado. The numbers now are between 1 and 2 feet, so those have increased. And the biggest change is in northern New Mexico. I mean, those numbers are much bigger, 1 to 2 feet there as well. Anywhere in purple is over a foot. So what you're looking at is you've got the main storm coming in 3/12, 13, and 14, but potentially slowing down and strengthening in southern Colorado, northern New Mexico, and that would enhance a lot of the totals, like a panhandle type of storm system, enhance the totals across Colorado. Still looking at 1, 2, maybe 3 feet up there in the Pacific Northwest, and there's your foot for Red Mountain and Revelstoke. Okay, I'm breaking it down by time period. So a little bit of leftover snow in southern Colorado tonight, but everything else is up in the Pacific Northwest and BC. Time period number 2, 3/10 through 3/12. This is when we start to see things drift down to the south and some snow in the Sierra. I'm looking at about a foot up there in the Pacific Northwest and a foot during this time period over Red Mountain and Revelstoke and even Schweitzer in northern Idaho. Final time period. This is when we get that Colorado low. And we pick up some significant accumulations during this time period, 3/13, 3/14, and even into 3/15 now. for that matter. So we'll have to keep an eye on that time period. Let's go to the northeast. Numbers have edged back up just a little bit, looking at about a foot for most of the big ski areas, although less as you go into southern New Hampshire, southern Maine, but more. Look at New York State, looking at over a foot for Snow Ridge and Whiteface. So things are looking pretty good late 3.9 into 3.10 as of right now for the Northeast. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this afternoon mountain weather update. Always appreciate you tuning in here, and take care.